So at the start of the heat of the Temple Challenge Cup, we have University of Bristol on the Berkshire station and Imperial College London C crew on the Buckinghamshire station.
Fair play to Imperial, 3 crews in the Temple.
That is huge to have 3 crews, that's really impressive. So the depth they have in talent. As both crews move off the start, you can hear the coxes shouting at the crews, getting the cadence up, going through those kind of gears to get the boat speed up. But just having to put on the rudder in the IC crew there, which is the last thing you want to do in those first few 100 metres. And it looks like University of Bristol taking a small advantage along the island.
Yeah, and it comes back to that same point you've been referencing, Mark, around inexperience. I think this is the 3rd Imperial 8, so the Cox is likely to be relatively new to Henley, and as such, it's all a learning curve, right? And I think that tug on the rudder was a bit unnecessary, and Bristol taking full advantage in the early stages, almost out to a length already. I mean, I would fancy Bristol, just purely from a sort of subjective or objective standpoint. Bristol on paper the faster crew, and making that clear here in the opening stages.
So just gone through 4 league, you can see University of Bristol have extended their lead over Imperial College C. And they look quite relaxed there, don't they? With that margin they have between them and IC.
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty relaxed if I were sort of 5 or 6 lengths up at Henley on the Wednesday. But the crucial thing is, and we have spoken about this, but it's just trying to now enjoy the race down the course, because it's rare that you get a more relaxed dynamic at Henley, right? If you're coming into the event, you expect tight and hot competition. So ultimately, the Bristol guys just have to try and enjoy this. You know, stay focused, stay well drilled, and keep the boat moving as it is. But enjoy yourself now. Just relax, soak it up. It's Henley. It's a fantastic place to be, and to be winning, and to be growing.
And it's about also that importance of conserving energy, isn't it? You know, you're talking about the events for 5 days, that's potentially 5 races if you make it for each round. And obviously, you know, the amount of training all these athletes would have done over the last year or 18 months in preparations to compete at Henley Regatta. Because unfortunately we weren't here last year due to circumstances, but they'd have been thinking about this for a long, long time. So to be out there with this margin, the opportunity to race, and showcase all that hard work they've done.
Precisely. I mean, I was in Stewards this morning at 10:30 a.m. and someone offered me a pint, and I remember saying it's a marathon, not a sprint. The same applies on the water. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So don't feel like you need to go out all guns blazing on day one if you're able to sit a few lengths up. Full disclosure, I didn't drink the pint.
But you can hear the spectators on the side. That could be some of the athletes actually, because that's on the far side, on the Buckinghamshire side. That's where the crews are boating from. That could be that cohort of athletes cheering their fellow colleagues on from their club or university.
Yeah, you get almost a double wall of noise, right? We talk a lot about the famed wall of noise that hits you as you come into Stewards, but now you've got the added benefit of having people on the Buckinghamshire bank who are going to be galvanising you as well. So the last 500 metres, you should have plenty of support.
I think excitement as we go through the regatta, the races get closer, that's definitely going to get louder and louder.
Exactly, and the fact that there are pretty much every crew in the regatta at the moment means that there will be more crews knocked out, more people to be on the bank, more support naturally for the crews that are left in the competition.
And it creates that kind of stadia feel, doesn't it, having it on both sides, which we don't always get in that sport, unfortunately, but that's something that could be really unique about this opportunity with the athletes being in that position and where they're boating from.
Yeah, I've never been lucky enough to be involved in a race that's been that dramatic or that, you know, well followed, but I remember being in the Stewards enclosure a couple of years ago, and there was almost a roar that was coming towards us. I can only describe it as a wave of noise, and I think it was one of the PE8s on the Saturday, and the noise was just deafening. It was unbelievable. But Bristol, yeah, looking pretty tiny, pretty comfortable now.
Very composed as they move along the Stewards enclosure. They approach the floating grandstand. Still spectators start to fill in as we come up to not being far from the lunch break. And as University of Bristol cross the finish line there. And ICC still pushing themselves to the line. It's their opportunity to race up the Henley course, that experience element. So that was a win for the University of Bristol over Imperial College London C in the heat of the Temple Challenge Cup.